Hello, YouTube land. This is Brenton coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. Before we get started, I want to say that anyone who has a story that they would like to share, whether it be cryptids, something supernatural, paranormal, any kind of interesting story that's a mystery to search, you can contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com. You can either give a written story that you want read, or you can give me some contact information and a brief description, and you can come on and share your story. If you want to contribute to help with this channel, you can go to a link in the description and contribute there. It's PayPal Me. It's super easy to use, and every contribution is very much appreciated. Well, today we have a special treat for you, so I'm just going to go ahead and start the show, and you'll see what we have. Enjoy. We first had JT, the Game Warden, on, and he shared stories of Bigfoot in the national parks, and we called the show Game Warden Tells Stories of Bigfoot in National Parks, What Not to Do. And he gave some advice, and it was a very interesting show. Well, after he was on the show, something unexpected happened, and then we ended up having a video called Game Warden Surrounded and Attacked by Sasquatch, because he had an accident and ended up in the hospital. And I read this story. He sent me an email telling me about it. So after I read the story, many people watched it and have been waiting for the Game Warden to be healed up and come tell what happened. Some of you thought that a human being was killed during this attack that he was in, but it was a dog. We did let it lay low for a bit and let JT heal up and get out of the hospital and process things a little in his own mind, and he is back today. So if you would tell us what happened.
Yeah, I'll go through what happened that night. Well, I want to go ahead. I want to just start by letting everybody know that I want to just let everybody know I really appreciated the concern and the prayers and the get well stuff. I appreciated that, and I appreciated the prayers for sure. I healed up a lot faster than even the doctors thought. I had 4 broke ribs, punctured lung, and I had to get a little over 100 stitches in my back. I looked like I just went through a huge car wreck or something. I was pretty beat up. Not real sure how I was able to get out of there the way I did and how far back I had to get to my truck, but all I can think was the good Lord graced me with the strength and helped me get out of there, because when I came back to, all I did was pray and say, Lord, I got 3 little kids at home, and they need me. I need to be able to get out of here, just protect me and get me home. And he did. But that night, it was a little after 1 o'clock. I was hunting down a bear poacher. I've been looking for him for a while. And I had gotten some reports in and descriptions of the gentleman I was looking for, and so I went out and met with the eyewitness that saw him, and he gave me about the directions that he saw him going, and where he was headed back up into the mountains is very, very hard to get back up in there. There's no roads, and most of any trail you find is going to be game trails. It's an area where I have never been before. Most people don't go up in there. It's really hard to move through. Brush is thick. It's a pain in the ass to get anywhere up there because it's so hard to get through a lot of rocks. And like I said, there's no trails, no logging trails, nothing like that. So I picked up a trail, and I found, boot marks, and I went ahead and started following. It was just me and my partner. As wardens, we don't, there's not a lot of us, as most people know, and we all have a pretty good size range that we patrol and take care of, and we don't get to call for backup unless, we don't call for backup unless, it's really needed. And at this point, I was fairly confident I was on the trail of the gentleman I was looking for, a suspect, and I was hoping to find him this night. And I would say I hiked back up into the mountains about 3-4 miles. I had pretty good light. The moon was full. It seemed I had pretty decent light out. I felt pretty comfortable going out after him because I had good light. With our training and then military background, the Marines, we you could say we get the fear beat out of us. You have that confidence you just carry with you. Felt good about it, and we got back in there. Had a decent trail.
Was your partner, the dog, picking up the scent of anything? How does that work?
If I had something of his, if I had a piece of clothing from him, something that had his scent on it, then yeah, I would have let him track. But I had nothing with his scent to go from, so it was just me tracking. I found boot prints, broke branches. It's a lot of people when they walk through the woods. If you're trained right, or you go out in the woods, you're a hunter or so forth, and you have the training, you can find. We're pretty easy to track in the woods. We don't move very gracefully unless you really know what you're doing out there.
Yeah.
And this suspect, he's been out in the woods. He can handle himself out there, but he wasn't trying to, hide his tracks or make sure it was hard to follow him, because I don't believe he knew that anybody he didn't believe any wardens were following him or knew where he was at, what about area he was going to.
Right.
But, in that part up in that country area, you got a lot of, I'm sure when you go out in the woods, you always hear the wildlife, birds, just normal wildlife. You'll hear, even at night, you can hear them. And, normal noises, then it got real quiet. The birds stopped chirping. It was, you could, the old saying, you could hear a pin drop. It got that quiet. And, anytime it gets that quiet, you get a little bit of concern. Usually when the prey animals go silent, usually means there's a predator by, and sometimes it's just they pick up your scent or the noise you're making. Sometimes it's you, but anytime it gets that quiet, there's a good chance there's a predator nearby. And of course, where he's poaching bear, he's one of them people that, in my opinion, very terrible what they do. They kill the bear, and they're only taking the gallbladder and penis, stuff like that, because then they sell it on the black market to usually a lot of Oriental countries, because they think they have magical powers and so forth, and they leave most of the meat and everything else. They just want those few little things they can make a lot of money off of.
Right.
So when it got quiet, I got a little concerned, because it is bear country, there's mountain lion, and then, of course, my experiences, I know there's Sasquatch as well. And they are very nocturnal from my experiences and what I've learned. And of course, they are predator. I'm sure they also eat some vegetation, but they are predator.
Right.
Yeah. So I got I carry it out with me. I always have my sidearm. I carry my own personal weapon, which is a 50 caliber Desert Eagle. And then I took out with me a shotgun with slugs. And I pulled my shotgun off my shoulder just in case. We continued on for another 50, 75 yards. And then my partner started sniffing the air, and then he looked jittery, and then he started to whimper. And again, our dogs are trained to handle people, to attack people, to protect us. Also, they're trained with, mountain lion, bear, anything that we're going to run into out there, they're introduced to, and we train them to be able to handle the situation. We don't train them to attack the bear or mountain lion because generally they're not going to win that fight. But dogs they're loyal, and if it came down to it, they will give their life to fight a bear, mountain lion, or take a bullet for us. But they don't get scared when they pick up the scent of a man. They don't get scared when they pick up the scent of a lion, bear, any of your normal predators. You could see he was getting a little skittish, and then he started to whimper and cry, and then he was trying to pull me back to the direction we had come from. And in the past, it's what I've learned, it is his signal to let me know that there is a Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever name you prefer to call these things. I'm starting to firmly believe that I'm just going to call them a demon. Because they're vicious, they're mean. So I'm getting a little worried. I can't see nothing. I don't hear anything. And a lot of times when I've had encounters with Sasquatch, when I've gotten close, sometimes they've actually come out of nowhere where they were hiding, watching me, and showing themselves to me, and almost it seemed like they were saying, I'm here, this is my territory, you need to leave. Or there's been vocalizations to basically, as I took it as a warning, that this night there was no vocalization, I didn't see anything. And as he was getting scared, didn't feel, then I was going to call my little searcher off and say, all right, well, he's got away from me again. Yeah. So I started to try to calm him down, and we were slowly backing out. And then to the hill to the left of me, there was a little incline up on this side of the mountain area here. And it sounded like a huge boulder or something was just rolling down that hill and breaking limbs and small trees. And I shine my light up there, and I see a large, maybe a male. I'm going to go with the male. I could be wrong. I didn't see any female features. It was coming down the mountain, very aggressive. I lift my shotgun to the shoulder to prepare myself for this thing to come at me. And the next thing I know, there's a big snap behind me, and before I could turn around, a tree. Oh, this thing is messing up.
Hello? Hello? Well, that's interesting.
Hello?
Yeah. Are you okay? Sorry about that, man.
That was
kind of cut out. You said that you heard a snap behind you, and that's about where you cut out.
I heard the sound of the snap. Before I could turn around, a tree had fallen, and it hit me in my back and on the side of my head. It knocked me out. I was unconscious. When I came to, I was in a different area from where I was at. I was bleeding from a crack in my head. My vision was a little blurred, and I heard my partner growling, and I looked to try to find him, and a little ways away from me, he was fighting a Sasquatch. He was trying, my dog's good size. He was a good sized dog, but it looked like a Chihuahua trying to take on a grizzly. He was going in and snapping and then pulling back, and he was just trying to protect me. I was looking for my shotgun. I couldn't find it. I was so kind of still out of it, from being hit in the head so hard. I got a concussion from it, and I was looking for my sidearm. I couldn't find it, and next thing I look over, and it grabbed him up by the back of the neck and picked him up and just bent him like it was a twig, and he snapped his back and then just threw him like a rag doll. And
now, from when you got hit, whatever fell on you, it kind of hit you in the back and across the head and what have you, and you had cuts across your back, and you had a lot of different cuts. And you're saying that you woke up in a different area?
I was dragged somewhere else. I wasn't that far from where the attack started.
Okay, so your dog, the dog was basically following along, probably trying to stick with you somehow or another, stay with you, and ended up, you woke up when it was getting in too much of a confrontation and you saw it.
Yeah, what I believe happened is when I got knocked out, and I believe that he probably tried to keep it from, killing me or whatever, killing me right then and there. And he was probably trying to protect me best he could, and I believe that it started to drag me off because of my partner trying to save me. And I don't know if it was while I was unconscious. I don't know when, my ribs got broke. I don't know when, it took, it scratched or whatever you want to call it and put those huge gashes in my back. I don't know when that happened. It had to be while I was unconscious. But I'm going to assume that when those injuries started, it started to attack me that way, that's when my dog finally really went in after it. Even if a warden's attacked by a bear, mountain lion, our dogs are going to go in and try to basically chase it off. They're not going to try to kill it, but they go in, they bite, they snap. They're basically trying to get it to leave. They're not trying to kill it. These dogs, any animal knows when they can handle fighting and when they can't, but dogs are loyal. They're trained to protect us, so it's trying to save me. And I think whenever this thing was really having at me, and I was unconscious, it finally just went in, and he was able to get him a little away from me.
Do you think that it? So I'm trying to picture this, and so the dog is probably barking, trying to keep them at bay. More than one of them was probably trying to distract the dog somewhat. One of the Sasquatch comes in and grabs you up, probably by an arm or a leg. Maybe grabbed on by the shirt, but it seemed like where your back was cut up, I think it probably grabbed you by the leg and dragged you off real fast, and the dog pursued it, barking and distracting, and it drops you and is probably dealing with the dog and ends up killing the dog just as you're waking up and you bail out of there. Does that pretty much sound like what you think happened?
Oh, it's pretty close. When I saw him, grab up my partner and just pick him up and snap his back, yeah, I was pretty out of it as far as, being able to process everything, with the head injury, and my vision's blurred. But when I saw him kill my partner, I was full of rage. And like you said earlier, to us, when we're your partner with a canine and you go through what you go through with them, and they've protected you and they've saved you before, you have a bond with them. And I was so pissed off, I was looking for my gun. I wanted to kill this son of a bitch. I wanted to kill him.
Yeah, and people with pets, I think, even understand that too, because if you've had a pet for a really long time, you've had a lot of different experiences with that pet and things like that. It's like family. I've lost dogs before, dude. It was like losing a family member, just as much, man. I buried family members before and buried a pet before, and it was almost the same thing. There's something about the pet, just that you love the pet just like family, because it was part of your family. It's part of the pack. Humans are kind of pack people too, and so that's very understandable. Yeah. And I wanted to try to make that clear to people that it's not just a dog you lost; it was a partner, the same
as family,
right? You're cut pretty bad. You're bleeding from your back because it probably dragged you across something, I'm thinking. I mean, I was kind of wondering exactly. I mean, who knows? I mean, you'll never really know exactly what happened. Maybe it reached down with a huge hand and the fingernails scratched across you and cut you across your back. You pretty much know you got hit across the head. That busted your head. Even the tree coming across you could have, if there's little pieces sticking out and what have you, could cut you. Who knows? But you were cut up pretty good.
Yeah, well, also, my bulletproof vest that, we have, it was ripped off of me. It was, later when wardens went back to investigate the scene, they found it. My shotgun was about where, was pretty close to exactly where I lost consciousness, was knocked out. My 50 cal was about in between from where I got knocked out and where I woke up. I'm guessing it fell out of the holster because I already had it unclipped or ready to be pulled because of, I was worried at the time because he started to whimper. So I got, the shotgun ready, and then also unclipped from my 50 just to be prepared. So I'm guessing it came out of my holster. Either if it picked me up, dragged me, whatever the case might have been.
So you're thinking you dropped your shotgun when the tree hit you? Yeah,
because I had it up, be ready to fire. It was in my shoulder. I was holding it and looking.
And then your pistol came out of the holster as it snatches you up. I'm thinking it snatched you up now. It grabbed you by the vest from while you're laying face down, yanks, and that probably came off of you, and then it reaches down and grabs you by the leg, something like that. And then you lose your weapon as it's dragging you off. The dog's pursuing, and it lets go of you, deals with the dog, and then you come to.
Yeah, that's about what I've come up with as well. It wasn't alone after it killed my partner, as I'm trying to find my gun because I want to kill this son of a bitch for killing my partner. It roared, and then I heard another, almost like an answer back, but I finally knew I wasn't going to find my gun, and it threw my partner not that far, but after he snapped his back, he threw him, and, my partner's body hit a tree. He was still, I guess you could say, maybe worried about the dog, because he went over to where my partner hit the tree and he bent down and was grabbing it and hitting it like he was making sure he done killed it, or maybe he was proud of what he did. I'm not sure. But I got up and had the strength to get the hell out of there. I saw off in the distance. It looked like a juvenile. This one was a lot smaller, and it wasn't engaged in what was going on. It was more like it was staying back and watching, learning, maybe you could say. The size difference between the one that killed my partner and the one coming down the hill, there was a couple feet height difference. The one that killed my partner, it was a lot bigger than the one coming down the mountain at me. And the one coming down the mountain at me, it was still pretty far off from me. So, I couldn't give you any, I mean, yes, you can tell, if it's a female, you can see breast, you can make out, that it is a female. I can't say for sure if it was a male or female, but at that time I could not make any features out to say for definite sure it was a female or male.
It was coming down the hill loud. Is that right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, loud.
Breaking stuff. They can be sneaky though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when it's coming down the hill loud, did you think for any second that it was trying to get your attention for the one to come up behind you and push the tree over, or come up and get you from behind?
When it happened, I didn't think about another one being close enough to where it could snap a tree and have it fall on me. I didn't think about there being another. I mean, I was focused on the one coming down the hill at me, making all the noise in the charge.
Do you think that it was trying to get your attention?
Oh, yeah. Yes, but now that I've had time to process it and everything else, I firmly believe that this was planned the way they wanted it to happen. They wanted me to focus on the one coming down the hill at me. So I'm turned. My partner's focused on as well what's coming down the hill at us. We're both turned this way. Our backs to the one that was really close that I never saw. But it was that close enough to where it snapped that tree and had it fall on me. And I never saw it. It was, I believe it was exactly what they wanted to do. It was a planned, attack. This is how they wanted it to happen. And I mean, it worked out how they wanted to, besides they didn't get me, but the juvenile that I saw as I was running out to get away, I believe that it was there watching and learning, as just like you'll see juvenile lions, bears, tigers. The juveniles will watch their parents hunt and not interact in the hunt, but they watch and learn. And that's what it felt like here, is that it was staying back and watching and learning. It wasn't staying back because it was afraid. It just seemed like it was watching and learning.
Right. You think maybe the tree wasn't meant to really hit you, but it ended up hitting you? Like they were going to try to drive you out one direction?
Yeah, that's a good question, and to be honest with you, I've thought about myself and wondered the same thing, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I mean, it's a possibility that they were trying to drive me away, and maybe it was, maybe they were trying to have it fall close, scare me off because there was a juvenile there. And then when the tree fell on me and I lost consciousness. Maybe at that point it changed from trying to scare me off to, well, this is food now.
It could have been they were thinking, oh, this is food, or I think they know that humans are going to come looking. So they might have thought even that, you know what, we need to drag this human back near a trail. Maybe not. You know, as far as you all were out, it probably was thinking more, shoot, got some food now. And the dog was a harassment, so they dispatched the dog. And then you end up leaving, and they thought, well, let him go. He's not dead. It ain't worth the trouble. We'll eat the dog.
And that could have been as well. By all means, when I was able to get up and run, I could not run my full speed. You know, with the head injury, my vision's still blurred. I'm a little confused about which way to head back to the truck. And they could have easily took me down again. And I mean, they wouldn't have. I mean, even if I was fully without the injuries and everything, as fast as I can run, I would still not be no match for how fast they can go. So they did. When I'm injured already, they could definitely have went after me and finished the job. Yeah, I'm gonna give the Lord the credit for me still sitting here talking to you today. I'm gonna just say it was the Lord's good graces.
Yeah, for real. You know, that's right, for sure.
It was hard to lose my partner. That hurt a lot. And then, you know, I get back to the truck. I get on the radio. I call for help. And, you know, at the hospital, you know, they asked me what happened. And the warden that came to the hospital asked me what happened. He's someone that I've talked to about my experiences, what I've seen, and he's had some himself. So, you know, I told him the truth, and I told him, you know, I said, I was so still devastated about losing my partner. I said, we've got to actually put in a report and actually put exactly what happened, that, you know, these things are real. People need to know. We need to just go on record and say, this is what happened to a warden. Because, yeah, there's people you've talked to, there's other people that have come forward, the news and so forth, that have come out and said they've been attacked, they've seen these things. But it's a little bit different, and there's more credibility given to us. And, you know, if it's put in an actual report from a government agency that, you know, a warden was attacked by a Sasquatch, it would actually open the eyes of, you know, a lot of non-believers and so forth, and it carried more weight. And I was so pissed off, and that's what I wanted. And he says, JT, they're not going to do it. He says, you should know that all people, that's not going to happen. And he says, if you want to keep your job, he says, when you write up your report, he says, you don't put down what you told me. And, you know, I didn't have to write up a report for a couple days and so forth while I was in the hospital dealing with everything. No, I didn't have to, and I was fighting with myself whether just to say, fuck y'all, excuse the language. But, yeah, that was coming, you know, that was through my mind, and just say, I'm going to write the truth. And, you know, the boss came visit me, and he sat down, and he says, well, we went through the scene, and we've gone through what we believe would happen. And they said, well, we believe that a bear attacked you, and that because you were hunting a poacher that was after bear, that he was in an area where he had gotten the bears riled up, they were aggressive, they were in fear, and he says, basically, you were in the wrong place, wrong time. And he's a man that I think he knows these things are real. Yeah, I think he's seen him. He's been in this job a long time. But again, he's not gotten promoted and where he's at by writing down that they're real or admitting to it. And I decided I wasn't gonna sit there and argue with him and tell him exactly what happened. And again, I love my job, and of course it puts food on the table, roof over, my kids' head, even though I can't put in a report, and a lot of people are probably going to be upset that it's not in a report, what happened, the truth of what happened, but I also thought, well, I keep my job, I can still go out, and I can still help people, I can still protect them from things that I know that go on out here, and I can still make a difference and help people. So I can't put down the truth in a report, but I can still go out here, do my job, keep people safe, and help people, and at the same time still keep a job I love and still put food on the table for my kids and the roof over their head and everything. So
that's one of the reasons I let it simmer. I wasn't going to let you come and tell detailed, because I knew you were ticked at first. You wanted to tell everything. But I'm like, no, I didn't want you to do that. It's like, no, I need you to take a month, let this simmer for a month, and then think rationally. Because if they don't want this out, you can't take it out. You're helping people already, and when they go out in the woods and they hear that tree fall, or that limb snap, or they see that tree structure, or something being thrown at them, or hear that roar, then they can believe a little bit more. And that's how we're going to have people know that this is real. It's a little at a time. And once the public knows it's real, then you could put it in a report what happened. But until then, their hands are tied. Your bosses know that they can't do that. You know that they can't do that because there's too much industry around the wilderness. There's logging. There's the state parks and natural. You know what I'm saying? There's billions and billions of dollars worth of business. We talked about that before. Yeah. And there's no good way to disclose it. It's kind of like someone telling people aliens are real. People are coming forward and sharing their stories. Man, I've had someone like you. I've had federal cops. I've had sheriffs. I've had even surgeons that were cancer oncology surgeons. You wouldn't think that they would even come forth and tell a story. So there's very respectable people. I've had a judge come on. There's all kinds of people that are sharing stuff, and it's making it more and more believable to many, many people. Now they go out in the woods, even if they say they don't believe it, they set their tent up and they're thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, what, did you hear something?
That's true.
Yeah, so you're doing what you can, dude. It's your job to feed your kids, keep a roof over their head, and do what you can. And you've done all of that. You've done as much as you can to help people. You're taking care of your family, your children, a roof over their head, feeding them, and all that kind of stuff. And you're doing also your job to the good that does with protecting wildlife down to protecting people even, and so you're doing as much good as you can, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, well, it's been a hell of an event. I had a camera on me, and when it magically disappeared, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And my partner's body, it hasn't been found, and that bugged me a lot.
Yeah.
But I kind of figured that
may not be your, the people that went out there looking, that they found whatever at the scene. They might have found your shotgun, stuff like that. But I would assume that the dog wouldn't have been there. If you were gonna be food, it might have been when you popped up, because I don't think they were hunting you for food. I think that it was once that you were knocked out, they were like, dang, we ain't gonna waste this. And then the dog pursued them, and you wake up, and all of a sudden, the dog's dispatched, and it was like, okay, let him go. We don't need the trouble, because these things know, dude. I'm telling you, they're a lot smarter than people think. They're a type of human.
Oh, I agree.
They're a type of human, and they don't want the trouble. A lot of times, someone comes up missing, they'll take that person to an area so they can be found, even if they died in the woods on an accidental thing. They'll drag that body, because the searchers will search, and say, we searched that area 5 times, and then all of a sudden this body is here. They knew it. You know what I'm saying? I think that they are like, we gotta take. They're getting too close to us. Let's take this body over there. They knew where the body was, and so that's kind of what it seems like to me. So
I agree.
They might have took the dog. That might have been the food, or they may just not have found the dog. Maybe they did leave the dog there. Who knows? But I think they let you go because they don't want the problem. These things are smarter than people think. They knew. It's like, if this dude comes up missing, there's going to be some looking, and this ain't going to be good for us. Let this dude go. We'll take the dog, or leave the dog, or whatever. And they may have found your dog and hid it from you.
Yeah, I agree. And the hardest part of it was the fact of, in the hospital, I'm there, and, my kids are brought to see me, and they see me all tore up and wires everywhere and oxygen, and, they start crying because they see their dad just barely there. And that was hard. I've been wounded in war, but they didn't see me that way, and that part hurt.
Right. Yeah, I imagine so. That you went through a pretty bad deal there. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, I just...
Okay. You cut off there for just a second. Well, you know what, man? You've been strong. You've been brave for them, and you've done everything you can for everybody that you can. And I thank you for coming and sharing, man. We'll have to have you come back and answer more questions and stuff as we have them come up. Is there anything else you want to say?
There's not much else besides, a little bit of stuff that my buddy Warden, that was the first one at the hospital that I told the truth about. He was one of the first ones out there on the scene to go over everything, and he did find, he found evidence to back up my story, footprints, tree snapped, tracks from them, but when he saw all that, and then another warden showed up, he admitted they went through and cleaned up it a little bit. But, I just wanted to, I know it's been an hour, and I appreciate you letting me get this off my chest, and I appreciate you hearing me out, and it means a lot I can't give, full identity, I can't give all that, and a lot of reports that wardens fill out, and a lot of things we do out there and see, it's not hitting the news like when you have an officer in a big city and they're, get action. It's not the same when it happens to us because it's way out in the middle of nowhere, and, the public's not allowed to see our reports just right off the bat.
Yeah,
especially when it's an open investigation.
Right, and plus, too, I'm sure that there's some people know you came on and shared some stuff, and they aren't going to let that be found. you know what I mean, to back you
Yeah.
on this, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons I let it simmer for a little bit too. But anyway, we'll be talking some more. And you got my number, man. Holler, holler.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll gladly do. I'll gladly do that. And also, you know, I have a few stories from people that I know that things have happened, and I've contacted them, and they're gonna. No, I'm not gonna give you names, of course, but
yeah,
I'll give you accounts of what has happened to them and things a part of it that I was there to, you know, witness some of the things that back up what they say, corroborate what they say.
yeah, that would be great. So anytime you're out there and you hear stories, gather it up, man, the best you can, and holler, and we'll get it documented. Even if it's only a little piece at a time, you know, we can document and record a little piece and keep adding to it until we get a whole thing, you know, or
Yeah,
whatever you want to do, you know, it'd be awesome.
yeah, that'll work good. Yeah, and just appreciate it. And I guess I'll get off here and get back in there with my youngins. And
all right, well, just
I think you probably heard one of them come outside, and so they said, "Daddy, when are you gonna come in?"
yeah. Well, hold on just a second so they don't have the Skype thing hang up on me. Everybody out there in
All
YouTube
right.
land, I appreciate you listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you got something that you would like to share, you can contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com. If you want to contribute, you can go to a link in the description, and it's PayPal me. Super easy to use. I appreciate every contribution. And until the next time, God bless, and we'll see you on the next show. Bye.